Hi, so my name is Aimee Bateman. I'm the founder and the CEO of the video content platform CareerCake.com. CareerCake.com is a platform for people to go to be the best they can be, to power their career. So we do help everybody, but we tend to attract a market of sort of 21 to 31-year-olds, the people that are experiencing those firsts, in their career. So the first time you've got a job hunt after graduating, or you've got the job but now you want to be awesome in the job. So the first time you want to go for a promotion, or the first time you are dealing with mental health issues, or you've got this amazing idea but you don't know how to communicate that within a team. So all of the firsts, to help people feel powered individuals at work. And all of that is through online content, so learning content, so courses, as well as insight videos and short little chats with loads of really smart, inspirational people. Well, the reason I started CareerCake is it definitely wasn't what it is now. It was never really meant to be a business, hence why I called it. If I thought it was going to be a big business, I would not have called it CareerCake. I would have thought of a way smarter name, but like, what food do you like? Cake? Okay, I'll call it cake. It was just a YouTube channel. I was a commercial recruiter, so for 12 years I was working for Robert Half, Red Recruitment, Hayes. So I was really in the arena, if you like, with people that were out of work, and the recession kicked in 2010. A lot of talented people that were struggling to communicate their value. There were no jobs out there. How do I get a job? And a lot of people, the last time they were out of work, there was no internet, so there was no job board. What's this LinkedIn thing? They got their job because they drank with Harry down the pub, or their dad worked there, or they went to the job centre one morning and in an afternoon they had an opportunity. Everything had changed so much, and there were so many people coming into the office wanting, us to help them. We just didn't have any jobs for them, and it was horrible, and it felt really, really crap. So I decided that I was going to go out and help them. I don't know a lot, but at that stage I knew a lot about it a little bit. And I bought a camera, so similar to the ones you're using today. I bought it for a tenner on eBay, second hand, and I just started making videos in my kitchen that were, the content was good. The content was really good because I cared and I knew what I was talking about. But production was like, my cat was in the background, there was a bottle of vodka in one. I remember getting my first ever YouTube comments. I decided to put them on YouTube so I could, I can't help you, but look at my videos, this will help you write a CV or, cover letter. I got my first comment on YouTube, I was so excited. And had a look, and somebody asked me why I hadn't done my dishes. I was like, oh, okay, so I really need to start thinking about production and stuff. But it was 2010, like nobody in my space was doing stuff on YouTube, apart from watching cats do funny things in water. YouTube wasn't really a thing that people used for marketing back then, but it was cheap, and I can't spell, so it was easier than writing blogs, and I loved it. And it really blew up, and then in a year I had like 1 million hits, and I quit my job, and that's what I did full time for about 5 years, was just focus my time on building a community on YouTube. And now it is what it is. So the first setbacks that I experienced, I kind of think about the CareerCake in 3 different stages. It's like I've had 3 careers, but it's all CareerCake. So the first bit was when it was just me building my first website, which took me 3 days. It was a Tumblr blog, with this idea of it's CareerCake, not having the balls to call it AimeeBateman.com because I was 30, wasn't half as confident as I am now as a 38-year-old woman, but just the biggest setback was getting out of my own way, if you like. And one of the things that I do with is like I gave it a name. I gave, even though it was me, I still called it something outside of me, so I was able to, hide my imposter syndrome that way. But making your first video and putting it on the internet is like the scariest thing ever. I mean, it's crazy now. I do BBC learning programs, I film all the time, but at that first moment was really, really scary. So getting out of my own way, I think, was probably the biggest setback. And I think every, not even business owner, entrepreneur, every person that just wants to find their voice in this world, is a really scary thing. So that was probably the biggest thing. And the next thing was learning what my audience wanted, and just asking loads of questions. Joining Twitter in like 2010 when nobody was really on Twitter, and asking people, what do you want help with? Hi, I'm here, I'm Aimee Bateman, I've got this CareerCake brand, I can make videos, what do you want help with? And nobody talking to me, like nobody tweeting back, nobody doing anything, but still making videos every week. So that was tough. Is this going to work? Should I get my job back? Should I ask my boss if I can go back? All this kind of stuff. But powering through that when you're skint as well, because you quit your job and you're eating beans all the time, and I look like a spud because all I was doing was eating jack potatoes. But you're just powering through all those moments because you genuinely want to help people. I think that's the best way that I think about how I dealt with my setbacks in the early days, is remembering who I was doing it for. The second stage of CareerCake is realising that I was bored in a way. I'd spent 5 years on my own doing the same thing, and I had all of these beautiful relationships with people online, so my community that I built up, and they'd get a job, which is great because they're amazing and hopefully I've helped them, but then they'd leave me. They'd be like, "I don't need you anymore, off you go," and I'd be like, "What?" It sounds like I've got no friends, but yeah, I loved them. They were my friends, it was my life. But then they'd come back and say, "Oh, I've got a new job now, I'm gay and I want to come out and I don't know how to," and I'd be like, "How do I help you? I'm suffering from mental health issues. I'm a new manager, how do I deal with that? I don't know." So I decided that I wanted to create something, and this is when I was really glad that I called it CareerCake and not Aimee Bateman. I wanted to create something now bigger than me, because I know a lot of smart people. Pretty much everyone I know is smarter than me, so I thought I'll just surround myself and get more people in the studio, or hire a studio, and just ask them similar to what we're doing now. Have you experienced that? What was your, and put that on the internet and help our community. And then once that was working, I then had to monetize it. And that's a whole new kettle of fish. When you've got 35 million hits on YouTube, that's amazing. But getting people to associate paying for content when they associate YouTube with free, short, often low quality, but free content. And raising money, investment, my God, that's like, I've lost some sleep over that. Raising investment is tough, really, really tough, especially in Wales, which makes me sad, but it is true. So raising investment was probably, but we've done that now, so it's like, next. Thank you, next. Taking on challenges, such as, okay, I've got this business and I can do this, but now I have to do all of these other things, but I don't have those skill sets. How am I going to work? And I just taught myself. I mean, I'm a YouTuber. I used it to promote my business, but I also used it to learn everything. So I taught myself how to build a website, taught myself how to video edit, really basic stuff in the early days, and then outsourced the rest. I'm a firm believer that you don't waste time doing stuff that you need to be competent, but don't waste time getting good at stuff that you're not good at. Everyone needs to be good at one thing, and when I say good at one thing, I think in order to win, you have to be untouchable at one thing. It doesn't matter if you're okay at a lot of things, because you'll lose. There'll be times when if you are untouchable at one thing and you put all of your energy into that one thing, then it doesn't matter what happens elsewhere, you'll always have that. And that's what I focused on. So I put all my energy into speaking, presenting, and outsourced everything. People per hour, thank God for people per hour. Like I've, outsourced to those guys. And then raised money and hired people that were better in other areas. Very early on, I learned that you have to say no to things. I was that girl. I was just so flattered. I grew up in a lot of my time spent in foster care. I had very low self-esteem growing up. From a council estate in Barry. It was like all of a sudden I'm surrounded by all of these smart people, and in my head I wasn't good enough. It was a massive issue. I needed to get out of my own way, and imposter syndrome, I get all that, and working through that is one thing, but I would just say yes to everybody because I was so grateful that these business people or these smart people wanted to have coffee with me. And my God, you want to spend time with me and hear about my business? That's amazing. It didn't matter that they were never going to help me make money. They would just sell at me for an hour or whatever. But I was just so grateful to be seen, heard and valued, which is what every human wants ultimately. And I tell you how I got good at saying no. I was skint for a very long time, and then I realised, well, actually, I need to make some money because I can't go on holiday with the girls, or I can't afford to make any new videos because I haven't got any money. So the desire to actually start making money made me really, really switched on when it came to my time. Wish I'd learned it a bit sooner. But now I would ask everybody, if you want to see me, what's the agenda, what's the deal. I mean, like a lot of people when you're out everybody wants to meet and have coffee, and I get all that, it's lovely, but ultimately, how is it going to benefit the business? And just jump on a phone call. Like, there's so many things that can just happen on a phone call now. So people that use money as a barrier, I would say people that use money as an excuse to start moving forward. I mean, one, money's important. It was very easy for me to say that I had no money, but I was 30, single, no kids. It was okay that, I rented out my flat on, Airbnb and moved into a box room with a friend. It was fine that I did that. I think everybody has their own personal circumstances, but you have to, I think some people will just use lots of excuses. There were lots of reasons, but money, I think for me, was never a big issue because I never had any, so it didn't matter that I didn't have any. I didn't need any. I'm not into, cars and bats. It didn't matter to me. I was driven by a purpose, but some people have got kids to feed and mortgages, and I get all that. So I don't know, each to their own. But for me, what does the future look like if I don't do this? And that was the driver. What am I going to have? And still now, I don't, I could go back into a corporate world and earn six figures. I was on nearly that before I started CareerCake, and I don't take hardly any money home now. And I can't even say that I'm happier now than I was, because I'm not. Running a business does not make you happy a lot of the time. You lose a lot of friends, you lose a lot of sleep, and your skin. I mean, that's part of the process. That's how you get made. So I can't even say, but I just think I'm messed in the head, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I don't know how else to be. When it comes to support, I think I've been really lucky, but then I think luck is only one part of that. I genuinely believe that my bullshit radar is pretty good. I think I've grown up in situations where I've had to be quite smart about things. I've made some mistakes, and I'm definitely not done with making mistakes when it comes to people, but I surround myself with good people, and people that believe in the same stuff that I believe in. And I'm just so blessed to have the network that I have. All my investors I targeted, my first 3 investors I targeted, and knew I wanted them probably a year before I even talked to them about investing in me. I knew I wanted Hayley Parsons because she's ridiculous, she's kick-ass, and I love her. And I stalked her for a little while, even went up to her once in person and went, "Hi, I'm Aimee. I think I worked with you years ago." I recruited for Go Compare like 10 years ago. This is like not even relevant, she's like that. But she was ever so sweet, and I knew that I had to get her attention. And Ashley Cooper, who's my chairman, who professionally is probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. For all of the bad decisions I've made in my career, I've made up for them with the people I've put on my board and the team that I have around me. So. When it came to going out and getting investment, I was adamant that when I did go out, that I would have something to talk about. I would have something to justify. It wasn't just an idea. I already had, a certain amount of credibility within my space. I'd been hustling on YouTube, earning nothing for 5 years. I had all of this equity, if you like. It wasn't just I've got this idea. And I found that one seed investor that believed, and I just took a little bit to just validate the product. So this is now where I had to say, well, yes, I've got all of these millions of hits on YouTube, but how do I get people to pay for it? So we built an MVP, really, really cheap. People that know me, and certainly my employees, will talk about how tight I am. I don't like spending money, and getting money out of me is a very difficult thing. But I did spend money on an MVP. And then I made sure that I had one paying customer in every one of my verticals. Didn't have to pay me a lot. In fact, one of them was a joke. We probably made a loss on it. They don't know that. But the fact that they were willing to give me money, because I was not going to knock on anyone's door and say, "Can you give me £100,000?" without saying that somebody here will pay for it, and look, I can prove it. There was just no way that I would do that. So I made sure that when I did ask them for that money, I was able to say people will pay for it. And then, it was a very quick conversation with Hayley. She knew that I was going to put this first, and she knew that she could trust me, and the others, two of my recent investors I've never even met. that they could see from the team and the platform. I even went to Silicon Valley, flew to Silicon Valley for 3 days, got told within the first 2 hours that we don't invest in Brits. I had to stay on this scheme for another 3 days, and it was, fine, totally fine, but had a lot of rejection. You won't make this in Wales, you're in the wrong ecosystem. We couldn't support a business in Wales. You'll fail, can't do this in Wales. Which, as a proud Welsh woman, made me just go, yes, can. And if I can't, I'm going to give it a bloody good try. And then for me, it was like Development Bank of Wales all the way. Because the reason that they knew what they wanted Welsh businesses, and I want to create jobs in Wales, and I want to do this in Wales. My next business, I don't know, it might not be in Wales, but I want to do it here first. I've got the most amazing team, and I'm so grateful every day. How do I convince other people to come with me is, I'm probably not the best person to answer this. I'm very passionate and I say it as it is. I don't pretend that I have all the answers. I don't say that I will make you a millionaire. I don't say that I'm going to teach you all of these things. What I do say is that I will give you an environment for you to thrive. I will do everything I can to make this vision that we all share happen. And I remember one of my team was about to leave, sell her house, move hundreds of miles to Cardiff. In fact, her partner was also going to get a new job, and their whole life. And the night before she handed in her notice, she called me about 10 o'clock, and I had to speak to her, and I was nervous too, but I didn't pretend I wasn't. I just said I was, and I just said, trust me. You'll come out of this better than you came into it. You'll come out with more skills, and you'll come out better, I promise. And that's, ultimately all you can say. One thing that's really important when you're bringing in people into your startup is that they don't come to your startup because they love you. They have to come to the startup because they love the startup. They have to come to the startup because they love the purpose of your business. They have to love your customer. They have to love the concept of what you're doing. Because if they come because they love you, they will leave you very quickly, because you're a human being and you're not perfect, and you will screw up the way and even if it's not screwing up, maybe even if it's just a difference of opinion, you will not always be what they want you to be. It's impossible. And on those days, they have to stay and show up tomorrow, even though they have a crap day on Monday, show up on Tuesday, because they love the business. Because I've made that mistake before, and I think it's really, really important for founders to know that, yeah, love me is great, but I'm not perfect, you have to love the business too. One of the best advice I can give to people that are growing their team is to don't look for talent when you need it, look for talent when you don't need it. So when you are coming to recruit for a position, if you don't have someone in mind, you're not doing it right. You should always be looking for talent. Your job is, yes, to grow a business, but the most important thing about your job as a founder CEO is surrounding yourself with the right people. You should be focusing every single week time to just even mentally think, who have I met this week that was epic? Who do I know that we don't necessarily need them now, but shares the same values as me? I mean, I know who I would hire in the next 3 roles. I mean, there was a LinkedIn message to somebody now. I'm meeting her in a couple of weeks. I don't think I need her until the end of the year, but I'm meeting her. Lucy, my head of product, I knew I wanted Lucy for 2.5 years before I got Lucy, but I wasn't ready for her. So I think always keep your eye out for people that are not like you. Surround yourself with people not like you, share the same values and your drivers and the reason you get out of bed in the morning and all that kind of stuff. But obviously skill set and even personality, all that kind of stuff, that doesn't need to be the same. One of the best things about running a business, and my team and I were talking about this last week, is you look around the room and how different we all are. And I definitely didn't have an appreciation for how to work with people that need different things until I started running this business. So I worked in a sales team, or I worked in a marketing team, and I surrounded myself with people like me. But when you are looking for somebody in finance, or you're looking for somebody in marketing, know that you're not looking for you, and be open to that. I think entrepreneurship is something that I'm one of those people, and I don't think that everybody agrees with me, but you either are or you're not. Like, you can't teach people. You can teach people how to hone that skill, but you can't teach somebody to be an entrepreneur. You know, you either are or you're not, and we need to definitely make sure that we're showing young people how that can be. I mean, I grew up in Pembrokeshire. I moved to Pembrokeshire when I was 10, and I didn't business, you know, I didn't even know what any of this stuff was. It wasn't until I went to university, and I just got into university, and all of a sudden there was a topic such as business, and I did entrepreneurship, and I was like, what is this? This is crazy. I'm good at this. I like this. But it was the first time at 2020 that I finally thought, this is what I meant to do. And you know, I think there are so many schemes, that Dynamo World Model Scheme, although I don't think it's called that anymore, and Big Ideas Wales, and making people realise that they can 100% create their own path. And you go and work for somebody, that's absolutely fine, but there are opportunities to work for yourself, and that's okay, and that's a thing, because it certainly wasn't when I was growing up. So when I first started at university, I didn't really think I was going to run my own business. I never really deep down had a desire to run my own business. I wasn't even thinking like that. I wasn't thinking at all about that kind of stuff. I just wanted to get a job and be able to buy a house. And for me, buying a house was really important, because I'd moved quite a bit, and I wanted to be able to buy my first home. I bought my first home 3 months after graduating. But then very quickly, about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I started thinking about it. And then 3.5 years after working in the recruitment industry, I started my first business. It was called Precious Hours, and it died an absolute death. I did it on the side of as working in recruitment, and then unfortunately my mum got a little bit poorly and lived with me for a bit, and so I kind of quit my job and threw myself into running this concierge company, and did so many things wrong. Like, I spent more than I made, I gave people credit, I met some amazing people. I met my friends Lucy and Sophie from Mazuma, and I met loads of people within that sort of business world back when we were 23, 24. Some of them are still running the same businesses then, some of them have, you know, on their second or third business, but I died a death in that business, and then went back with my tail between my legs and back into the corporate world, and went into recruitment, and, you know, found my place there again before I eventually left that and started CareerCake many years later. But started CareerCake knowing what I didn't want to do this time round. Luckily I'm not making the same mistakes I made. I'm making completely different mistakes now. But they're not the mistakes that I made back then. But that was a real painful experience for me, actually, and I actually think it's what drives me a lot now. Very weirdly, had a little conversation with myself last week, had a bit of a tough week last week. Nothing that we can't cope with, because we'll cope with it, but yeah, it was tough. And I remember sitting and having a conversation with myself. My husband took the dog out for a walk, and I sat there on my sofa, and I just said, not gonna let this one fail this time. You know, this is the one. You know, you've got to keep powering through, and because I definitely quit on the last one sooner than I should have. But isn't that what makes us? Don't we all have that story? Don't we all have those regrets and those successes and failures? And it's what makes us, isn't it? I would advise people to just get out there and try it. Fail hard. I mean, I nearly lost my house. I mean, I say I bought my first house, that first business, I nearly lost my house. It took me a year to get out of the debt that I left, because I took that debt on personally when I closed that business, because I knew I wanted to walk down Cardiff and not have to hide from someone or not look at someone. So I took that debt on myself and I paid it off, and it took me a while, but I knew I was going to go again. And I knew next time I go, I never want to hide from anyone. It was painful, but I'm so glad I did it. Because if you're not, and oh my God, this makes me want to puke in my mouth when I say this, because it's so cliche, but if you're not failing, you're not learning, and it is so true. Yeah, keep failing. When it comes to work-life balance, there's two things. It was the time when I first started CareerCake and I was still in a job. I was really lucky. I was in a job where I had to hit sales targets, and had a beautiful relationship with my manager, who I still have that relationship with now. But I hit my sales targets for the year within 2 months. And then I said, I've got this plan, I've got this idea. In fact, I said I've got this plan, I've got this idea before the annual sales targets. And that's fine. You said just bring me the money, just hit your targets. You know, you do what you want to do in your spare time. And I was really blessed. It's a guy called Tony Dowling, by the way, who I was doing some contract work for when he was at Real Radio. And I hit those sales targets really early on, and so the pressure was off. I still worked hard because I loved that job actually, and I loved working for him. But once the 6 months was up, so I was on like a 6-month contract, I was gone, and I just started really throwing myself into CareerCake, which I'd been sort of blogging and doing for about a year by that point. So CareerCake and work never really caused a problem. If anything, CareerCake empowered me and brought me more energy to do my day job, because it made me feel alive and amazing, and it still does sometimes. Work-life balance now, whole different ball game. Yeah, I mean, luckily my husband's amazing, but I'll just give you an example. I got married last year and we postponed my honeymoon because I had to close an investment round before I went. So this is my life. It is my priority. I love my husband. He knows that. I have lots of friends, although I don't see many of them anymore. But I have to do this now. And everybody knows, just give me 2 years. Just give me another 2 years and I promise I'll be yours. But I have to do this now. And they love me for it. The ones that don't, that's okay. That's okay. Let people go. It's fine. But my work-life balance, my work is my balance. I don't believe in work-life balance. I switch off when I need to, probably not as much as I should, but I love my work. Would you tell somebody to don't go to the gym so much, don't whatever your hobby is, don't do it so much? You know, people that have an issue with work-life balance think it's because they don't like work sometimes, but when work is your biggest joy, then it's not an issue. Different for everyone. I'm hopefully going to be a mum at some point. Maybe next year I'll start, popping out some kids. I'd like to. Definitely like to have a family, and maybe it'll be different then. But right now I'm cool. There are a number of things that I wish that I'd learnt very early on. In fact, there's loads of things I could write a book, but if I had to think about one thing, I've recently recruited an operations manager, so I've recently recruited somebody to do all of the running, the ops of a business. And my goodness, I wish I'd done that sooner. You know, for the last 2.5 years, I've been a finance person, I've been dealing with lawyers and solicitors. I haven't been doing the stuff I love, which is, coaching, educating, speaking, helping young people find their voice in the world. And now I get to do that again. And I said to Abby just before Christmas, I'm so glad you're here because I like my job again. And I wish I'd done that. I wish I had done that sooner. But again, that's a money thing, isn't it? I couldn't afford it sooner, so I couldn't. But I wish that I'd found a way to make that happen earlier. My biggest thing has been making sure that I get out of my own way. I think learning to be a salesperson when you're a founder is a real challenge, because you're selling you, and I find that an issue sometimes, and everyone knows that without sales, without money in your bank, there's only so much money an investor's going to give you until you start making more sales. So I think that I would have started pushing myself more to become a salesperson sooner than I did, rather than looking for other people to be my salespeople and recruiting and then that not working out. And I'm the salesperson, it's my business, and I'm the best person, I believe, to sell this business. So now I'm head of commercial. It's been 2 months in this job, but I think that a lot of founders are scared to go out and sell, because sales is like a dirty word, isn't it? It's like, oh, I don't want to cold call that person or email them and tell them about my product. And it's like, no, you're not. You're making their life better. Your product is that good that you are actually phoning them to do them a favour. So that's how I think about it now. And since that happened in my head, yeah, good things have happened. So I am all about learning. So we're a learning business. So apart from making sure that I see my friends regularly that are on the same journey as me, I can tell them about all of the things I've done wrong this week, and we can all share our ideas and all that kind of stuff, and all the things I've done right, obviously. But I love listening to podcasts. So if you're a founder, the first thing you should do is, through your business, get yourself a subscription and make sure that you have one really, really cool book. I'm listening to Michelle Obama at the moment, Becoming. In fact, I was listening to it just before I got here, which is really powerful. But there's certain podcasts that I really like and YouTube channels. So Chase Jarvis, for example, from Creative Live. I find that really, really helpful. He interviews lots of entrepreneurs and founders from across the world. He's got a real sort of straight to the point attitude. I really like Ryan Carson from Treehouse. I really enjoy his blogs. But yeah, blogs, reading. I recently deleted Instagram. A year ago I deleted Facebook on my phone to encourage me to read more. But I'll tell you one thing, I was reading loads of self-development books last year. I think I read about 25, and then I was just like, so then I started reading fiction. So now this year I'm reading loads of fiction. Sometimes it's like horror, science stuff, but I'm really enjoying. Last night I read The Twits by Roald Dahl. I'm 38. I haven't read that book since I was 8, but I loved it. You know, it's like, and it made me feel powerful today, and it made me feel, you know, creative today. So sometimes you can do a little bit too much of the self-help stuff, and that little bit of creativity can have a huge impact.